Hello and welcome to the Rested podcast, where we explore travel time rather than destinations and the joys and surprises of shared transport. My name's Mark Selby. I love the theatre of travel, discovering the stories of journeys and learning how people use their travel time. My thanks to listeners for your feedback and stories, especially from Finland, France and Sweden. Some British listeners have fond memories of BT's It's Good to Talk advertising campaign. It was targeted at men who are far less comfortable talking with each other than are women, especially about emotions. I'm reminded of the old Finnish joke. Two men are at work. One says to the other, "Do you fancy a drink after work?" The other agrees. Later, in the bar, the first one says, "So how are you?" The second replies, "Did we come here to drink or to talk?" Sadly, men don't talk more openly, and they seem to have less friends to talk to. In America, in 1990, 3% of men said they had no close friends. In 2021, that had risen to 15% of men. Close friends are important, and it's good to talk, especially in the current environment. For myself, I tend to be an optimist, but when forecasting the economic future, I err on the pessimistic side. I'm anticipating a recession and considering the opportunities that might arise. In the past, market corrections and recessions triggered certain consumer behaviours. Dining out and theatre ticket sales fell. Pizza deliveries and video rentals grew. Subscriptions to The Economist grew. Skirts and dresses got longer, and low-cost indoor fun resulted in more childbirths. Those days are gone. The cost of raising children has helped cause lower birth rates, and we stream rather than rent. I'm struck by author Kurt Vonnegut's observation that many successful American authors began writing during and after the 1930s Depression, when they knew people sought escapism and publishers needed authors to provide it. While the channels to market will change, demand for creativity and storytelling will continue. I do recommend the book, If This Isn't Nice, What Is? It contains some of Vonnegut's graduation speeches and other words to live by. They're inspiring, ironic, and so relevant to the world today. The book's title was something his uncle Alex said regularly, reflecting on simple, everyday moments. In uncertain times, we need friends. We need them as they need us. Far better to maintain contact than to approach them in an hour of need, out of the blue, like a cold caller selling home improvements or dodgy investments. It's good to talk and maintain contact with the people we trust and who trust us. Listeners Liam and Jenny completed the 3,000 kilometres walk from the top of New Zealand's North Island to the bottom of the South Island, an amazing achievement on a very challenging trail. Another walker fell in a rockfall and drowned while Liam and Jenny were hiking the trail. In New Zealand, there's a wonderful group of people called Trail Angels, who offer help to hikers, such as sheltered space to pitch a tent along the major trails. Most are, or have been, hikers themselves, and are only too familiar with the challenges others face. They sometimes reach out to hikers blogging about their journeys, and offer free help if needed. On their walk, Liam and Jenny met several of these trustworthy trail angels, but they also met some real oddballs. There's a Trail Angels mobile app where people sell shelter or food for money. These people are different to the real Trail Angels. On the one hand, they might be applauded for monetizing the proximity of their homes to trails, but they can be very strange people. They often live in isolated areas, which could partially explain why a surprising number of them hold beliefs that go far beyond climate change denial or anti-vaccination conspiracies. One such woman believed everyone is born a millionaire, but the government steals our DNA at birth and trades it on stock exchanges, taking the millions for themselves. When asked how we can get our DNA back, she explained she didn't know, but she'd joined an online group that was investigating ways. Liam's had some interesting jobs and hobbies, including marquee erections and tractor restoration. One of his first jobs was erecting the marquee for a wedding reception in the garden of the bride's parents. It was built without a hitch. When the team returned to dismantle the marquee, they detected a very strange atmosphere in the household. Apparently, the newly married couple had arrived safely for their reception. It transpired that the singer of the band that would play at the party was a former boyfriend of the bride. Before the reception had ended, the bride and singer had run off together and had not been seen since. Liam and Jenny have many stories. Their walk was an extraordinary experience and achievement. I'm delighted to report they returned to Europe, got married in Switzerland, and that they've happily stayed together long after their reception. It takes time to establish trust, but sometimes we're too cautious of others, especially strangers. In California, I watched someone search for coins to fill an old parking meter. Credit cards were not an option. The parking places were at an acute angle to the sidewalk. The man sitting beside me on the bench sighed. He told me the search for coins caught many people out. One Saturday morning, he'd watched a woman carefully reading all the information printed on the side of a meter. He explained that parking was free for the first 2 hours on Saturday mornings. She replied that she was a lawyer and would check for herself, thank you. She then filled the meter with the maximum number of coins for 2 hours. Not only was it unnecessary, but she'd actually filled the meter for the car parked beside hers, rather than her own. He was only trying to help. Some people find it difficult to trust others, but as we saw in episode 3, Alone Together, research consistently shows the results of conversations with strangers are positive for both parties. People feel happier, healthier, and less lonely afterwards. Furthermore, the intimacy that can be shared with a trusted stranger is precious. It's surprisingly easy to draw stories from strangers, with a few leading questions, and by genuinely listening. In these situations, signals, including body language, can be read without much difficulty. Others are more subtle. My cousin Vanessa lives in Napier, New Zealand, a city almost destroyed by an earthquake in 1931. Napier Museum screens some extraordinary videos of survivors telling their stories. One young survivor was helping at a local farm. Herding the cows in for milking one day, they all suddenly stopped and would go no further. The farmer's wife came out to help, but the cows refused to budge. The woman said, "There's going to be an earthquake. The cows can feel it." Sure enough, a day or so later, the 7.8 earthquake struck, killing 256, injuring thousands, and causing immense damage. On the South Island, we saw the ruins of the Brunner mine, where 65 men and boys died in an explosion in 1896. As the full shift entered the mine that morning, 4 pit ponies were also being led in, but suddenly they refused to walk into the darkness and bolted back to their stables, shaking. 3 times they bolted. Finally, the drivers put their coats over the ponies' heads and backed them into the mine, where they would perish. Stories of animals' premonitions are not uncommon. Perhaps we should be paying more attention. The wildlife we encountered travelling was varied. Road signs warning of kiwi birds, otters, penguins and sea lions were frequent. In Sri Lanka, great yellow motorway signs warning of peacocks were surprising. From our boat in Sri Lanka, we saw a great manta ray leap from the water to escape hunting pilot whales, and tuna leaping to escape pods of dolphins. All types of dolphins, short-nose, bottlenose, probably even who-knows dolphins. But we didn't meet Kenny, the large eel that lives in a motel receptionist's garden pond. She feeds him chicken carcasses, and he now lets her tickle him under his chin. We only saw photos of Kenny. I'm recording this with our 4-year-old black Labrador, Willow, lying on my feet. She recently fell down a railway embankment in Switzerland and broke her left elbow. Liz managed to pull her off the track just before a punctual train came through. Willow had surgery, and we hope that with daily stretching and massaging, the nerves in her leg will recover and the leg can be saved. Wish us well. It's going to be a long journey. Thanks for listening to the Rested Podcast. Please subscribe for details of new episodes and tell your friends. I look forward to reading and sharing your travel stories. Please email restedpodcast@gmail.com. And my thanks to everyone that has contributed to Rested so far. Enjoy your travel time.